What's up, everybody? I am back, and little by little, I'm getting a lot better. I did a couple of reviews yesterday. This was supposed to be number three, but I was really pushing my body a little bit, and I still need to get a bit of rest. But I want to make sure I added this week as well. The movie Chef, written and directed and produced by Jon Favreau, and it came out in 2014. And you know, I watched it for the first time last year, and I wanted to put on the review for this year because I thought, like, okay, I can understand the hype that was around it at that time. It wasn't really on my radar like that, but I can see why it was loved. This is like a really good film, and I love a good cooking film. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this before. I love watching cooking shows, especially around the holidays when they do those baking competitions around Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Because I love those cooking competition shows. Because I don't even know if I even want to classify myself as like a foodie, but I appreciate, uh, the art of culinary cuisines. And of course, I did my review of Food Wars, the anime, which was so good. I love that anime, and I think I'm gonna be upset if they want to do like a new story with some new set of characters. However, uh, it it's one of those things where you want to leave things well enough alone because you try to uh, take it to a new. It's kind of like the Legend of Korra. It's fine, is my opinion. It's fine. There's certain decisions I wouldn't really had recommended it, but in general, it's fine. Still not as good as the original. Uh, but that's always the danger. Uh, I don't know. I'm thinking about making like a TikTok video talking about that. Uh, there's also a separate video I want to talk about too. I'm having decided whether or not I want to put it on YouTube direct, or do it on YouTube directly or on Twitter. I haven't decided. Whichever comes first. Anyway, uh, this had like a budget of $11 million, and it came out at the box office as 46 million. So it did very well. It stars Jon Favreau as Chef Carl Casper. We got Sofia Vergara plays his ex-wife Inez Casper. You got John Leguizamo as Martin, Scarlett Johansson as Carl's little side piece Molly. Don't you know they made like an exclusive relationship? You got Dustin Hoffman as the restaurant owner, Riva. We got food critic Ramsey McKell, played by Oliver Platt. Bobby Cannavale as Tony. Amy Sedaris as Jen. You got MJ Anthony as Percy Casper, the son. You got Robert Downey Jr. as Inez's other ex-husband after Carl Casper, Marvin. And fun fact, in preparation of this, or at least in research, and in behind the scenes of this film, Chef Wolfgang Puck actually helped teach Jon Favreau the ways of cooking cuisine. So what we see is actually at least upwards to 90% of it is actual Jon Favreau doing the cooking and preparing. So I thought it was like a pretty dope little thing. It's like a little bit of information here. Jon Favreau, the writer, director, and star of Chef, wrote the film's script in about 2 weeks. He had long wanted to make a film about food and chefs, and felt that the subject was well suited to a small-scale independent film rather than a big-budget production. He cited Juriel Dreams of Sushi, Eat, Drink, Man, Woman, and Big Night as inspirations for creating a food-centric film. The script was semi-autobiographical, incorporating parts of Favreau's life into the main character, such as being a father while having a busy career, coming from a broken home. Favreau also drew comparisons between his career as a director and Carl's career as a chef. He stepped down from directing major studio films to go back to basics and create Chef on a smaller budget, much like Carl's resignation from a popular restaurant to work in a food truck. And I'm not shocked, but I'm shocked that he managed to get his Iron Man compatriots to come do bit parts in this. It's like, you imagine they ain't freaking cheap, considering this is like on like $11 million budget. Now, of course, they're friends, and they trust them, and like that's not too surprising. But it's just like, oh yeah, sure, Jon Favreau, I'll do this little thing for such and such $1 million and what have you for like 5 minutes of screen time, no problem. But it's just like RDJ and Scarlett Johansson, just either one of them by themselves are not cheap. So clearly they did it as like a friendship kind of situation. And Dustin Hoffman, it's like a lot of these guys aren't cheap. Sofia Vergara is not cheap. $11 million budget. I'm just saying, this is like. Anyway, Casper is working for he's working at this restaurant. What is it called? Gal Louise in Los Angeles, and he is like a true blue chef. He wants to be able to create always, because true blue chefs don't like getting stagnant. It's kind of like any artistry, whether it's musicians or chefs or painters or sculptors. It's just like, or like video game designers. It's just like any piece of art, you do not want to be stagnant, doing the exact same thing all the time. You want to create something new. And as an actor myself, I can understand that passion, that feeling, like that mindset. This is not something that art in any format takes lightly. We're serious with the craft, and when people try to because he said button heads with the restaurant owner, who he completely reneged on the deal they previously had. And I was like, look, you said in the kitchen is my domain, I call the shots. And it's like he still wants you to do the exact same stuff on the menu, because it's what the regulars expect. They don't want you to doing experimentations. And I can't imagine how frustrating that is to a cook, because it'd be like me as an actor being told oh, I saw you do this particular character in this cowboy movie, and that's why I want you to do it in this little indie rom-com thing. And it's like, I won't, sure, I could, but I want to flex my muscles and try to do something unique with a different character that is completely separate from the previous thing I've done before. It's like expecting, you know, yeah, sure, you can have Justin Timberlake play all his greatest hits, but if he feels inclined to come up with like a new song, you know, he's not gonna have his manager tell him like, no one wants to hear anything new. We want to hear "Sexy Back" and "My Love." It's like no one wants to hear anything new from. It's like no, you don't dictate like it's like throw the whole money thing in the faces, and it's like it's insulting. So Castro's like, okay, fine, I'll do the stuff. And he's already, dealing with that and try to co-parent correctly with his ex-wife, which I'm so glad that Favreau written this as like a legit relationship, that because it's so easy for movies to write characters that are split up to be antagonistic towards each other. And like, no, they got a fine relationship. They're not like sniping at each other or trying to pit the kid against one another. No, it's just like, look, we're fine, we're friends. She got her own thing, and I respect it, and vice versa. And we got a good relationship with our kid. However, the son, who adores both his parents, but he likes spending a lot more time with his dad, and he's a preteen. And I really like MJ in this, because he is, as Percy, because he also played in Krampus and Replicas and Bad Moms. So he's definitely going somewhere, because he's really good in this. And he just want to like any young boy want to spend time with his father. It's like some might disagree, but it's kind of like if you remember what Nelly said to his wife Ashanti, which he got unnecessary crap for, but you can understand where he's coming from. Where by the time the kid is, especially if it's a boy, by the time the kid is born, up until they reach maybe like 8 or 9, he needs to be with the mom more so than with the father, because he still need that nurturing, motherly type of thing, coddle a little bit, and like getting learning the basics, walking and talking, and like suckling on the milk, getting big and strong. Because once you reach that point when you're approaching like the preteens, like somewhere between 8 and 10 years old, that's when like you gotta be underneath the dad now, or at least the father figure. In this case, it's the dad, and it's like learning from the father. And I love this. I was struggling between putting this on the Father's Day review month or this month for like Thanksgiving review month, considering we're talking about food mostly. But I decided to go with this because I had already too much going on during the summer with like Harry Potter, trying to get all those reviews out. So I just put it on the list here because I still really wanted to talk about this. But the father and son dynamic is really well done, and like the kid plays well off of Jon Favreau. The chemistry is very much on point. The kid, loves shopping with his father when he gets like ingredients. There's a little montage where he thinks he's spending quality time with his son by taking him to like a roller coaster or movies, and it's like, and he constantly on his phone trying to he still is working, but he's not really bonding with the kid. But when they are bonding, it's usually when it comes to food, and he's out shopping for ingredients at the farmer's market, which I haven't been to a farmer's market in a long time. Those things were, I remember those things being pretty fun. Because I love, like, see all the fresh vegetables and fruit and stuff like that. Because I love me some fresh fruit, especially like fruit salad. Because I just engorge myself when it comes to fruit salad or cherries. Don't get me started on taffy apples. But oh my goodness, blueberries, pineapple, watermelon. I just like stuff myself. Uh, uh, One day when I get my own spot, my refrigerator is probably gonna be just stuffed with a lot of fruit. For me, just to snack on just randomly. And I love the research because like he did put some time into this, and the way he talks about food and how like depending on what you're cooking, you gotta know what ingredients you're looking for. That tells you what you're gonna cook. Something like that. Isn't like a separate scene, but it's that kind of really stuck out for me. But the boy wants to go to New Orleans to try out the cuisine there and check out the sites and stuff like that. He want to go with his father, and it's like it's just a heartwarming thing. It's like it's father son quality time. It's like very important for a young kid, especially a young boy, just to have that kind of bonding moment. But eventually, when he gets back to work, and it turns out he has this little thing with Scarlett Johansson's character, Molly. Now, I want to make a point here and get this out the way. Now, there's no shade on Jon Favreau whatsoever. I like Jon Favreau a lot. He's an incredible director. I like his, acting performance back in the day, but I think he really shines more so as a director and writer. And of course, he is still like a great actor in this too, obviously. But man, he directs and acts his butt off, and writes his butt off. But Jon Favreau hooking up with a Jon Favreau type of guy, hooking up with somebody like Molly who looks like Scarlett Johansson, and having an ex-wife that looks like Sofia Vergara, you're really pushing people's like imagination to its limits. I'm sorry. It's just that, not that it isn't possible, but is it probable? I don't care how well you're, because you can really get a woman fall for you depending on how much you cook or how much you make her laugh. Sure. But there's no cuisine that damn good, and there's no joke that damn funny to get something like Scarlett Johansson a Scarlett Johansson type to hook up with a Jon Favreau type. Like, just the archetype, not the persons themselves. I'm not trying to, talk crap about them. But it's just like, it's just like, come on, really? It's just like, I'm not trying to shade at all. I'm just thinking about it, really think about it. Like, it's like, out of all, like, the actresses you could choose from that make it, like, feasible. It's like, there's plenty of still hot actresses, but still hot enough to make it viable, to make it like, yeah, I could probably see that. Like, I don't know. Shoot. It's hard for me to like just like pinpoint a rando. How about this? Like, who's the main lead woman in My Big Fat Greek Wedding? If she would have cast as the role of Molly, I would have bought that, or at least the ex-wife. I would have bought that because that seems like a even kilter kind of like in your lane type of attraction, Because if Jon Favreau's character Casper was played by, let's say, Bradley Cooper or Brad Pitt, and you got something like Molly and Sofia Vergara, and it's like, yeah, your body can bridge the gap. I'm just saying. It's just like, oh, okay, your mind can, put the pieces together. But like I said, I'm not shading them. It's just something that kind of points out in my mind. Anyway, Casper then has this blowout argument with Reva, who he just ultimately decides, you know what, I quit, because his son taught him how to, because after he was forced to stick to that boring ass menu, the same old, the food critic showed up that night, knowing he was showing up at night. He wanted to really impress him, because something like obviously very important for any chef to be able to wow. That's usually how they get like certain Michelin stars or whatever that really like boost their like reputation and show like how top notch of cuisines they can prepare. And because he was forced to make those same old crap, he wrote scathing reviews upon the chef. And of course, Reva didn't really give a crap, because he's not a chef. He doesn't care, which is kind of like I look up like chef's reaction to movie scenes, and they make a point about like the restaurant owner and the chef, or the hotel owner and the chef has to work in a symbiosis kind of thing. And Reva's character, should have respected the chef as much as the chef had to respect him. But the fact that he's just like, overreaching and stagnating his chef, that knowing full well he can, do more, knowing he's a great cook, and not want to like, not want to cook the same old stuff and not want to add anything, refreshing to the menu. It's just like, I won't say it's not realistic, but it's just like, yeah, that dynamic is never going to work. It's just like, you're damaging your own restaurant in the process. It's not just the chef. That's going to look poorly on you as the owner. If you got like a chef that gave him reviews. I'm just saying, like what the hell is Reva thinking by not allowing him to add something new to the menu at the very least for people to try it out? Well, because this gave a review, Castro looks like a complete idiot. They decided, people been seen on Twitter, because somehow Castro doesn't have Twitter, which, I mean, I don't want to say somehow. I mean, like, it took me a while before eventually I got Twitter, back in the day. But, the critic, Mikhail, wrote like a very bad review, which everybody's sitting there like nobody but him. So his son helps him create a Twitter account, and he ends up replying. He thought he was DMing, but he ends up replying, which is public, pretty much laying down like a challenge to the guy. and it got, the whole entire thing went viral within 24 hours. So now he decides, like, okay, I'm going to prove myself. But because uh, now like Rio's like, oh, by the way, before you tweet anything, it has to be approved by me and stuff like that. This dude is just like, honestly, I think he was the real villain in this. There's no true villains in this film. It's not a movie, meant to have like a bad guy. But if there were, Riva is like the main bad guy in this, because all this wouldn't have even happened if well, you can take it in one or two ways. I mean, it would have led to this good thing at the tail end of this film if it didn't happen with the fighting between him and Riva. But a lot of issues could have been avoided if Riva would have been a lot more understanding and not so micromanaging. I'm shocked that his restaurant will even stay afloat, all things considering. It will just get by. I think that's how his mindset is. He just want to just get by. So after they had this disagreement, he quit one of his other I think John Leguizamo was his sous chef. But and Tony was the line cook. I forget which one is which. But Tony kind of replaced him as the main chef or head chef. So he went home. He prepared a meal at home. He drove all the way back to the restaurant and caused this big ass scene. It's one of those most viral scenes in like a movie about food, history kind of thing. It was like really like one of the most famous scenes where he just like had this big old blowout yelling in front of everybody in his restaurant about the food and the scathing review, and it went viral. His blow up, caused him not to get any work. So his ex-wife called up some because she's like rich for doing something. I'm not sure, but she called in some favors. One woman said she can try to get him to on like Hell's Kitchen TV show and doing some kind of like deals or something like that. But no, he's not in it for the money. He just likes, he loves the art of cooking. That's his passion. You can understand that. So his ex-wife Inez is visiting family in Miami. This is where she and him met, and she invited Casper along to just try to unwind and get his mind off of this stuff. And then she made a suggestion of because she always kind of brought it up, but he always kind of shot it down because he thought it was kind of beneath him of running a food truck. So she eventually convinces him to visit, which he had to find out kind of surprisingly it was one of her ex-husbands after him, played by RDJ, who gave him a loan for or at least provided him a old rundown food truck. And the big part we get here with RDJ is very funny because he plays kind of like not like a mean pompous asshole, but just kind of like a weird pompous asshole. uh, and he gives him like a rundown food truck that uh, Casper and Percy cleaned up and straightened out. And uh, uh, Martin shows up, played by John Leguizamo, to decides to quit that restaurant and come to Miami to help out and work with Casper. So they start to make sandwiches, travel from Miami all the way back to L.A. With, since it's the summertime, Percy is right along with him. He's learning the tools of the trade, how to cook, how to prepare, making sure like the sandwiches, wait till the sees the cheese is melted and the bread is golden brown, and letting us know it's done, so that we can flip it and prepare. And even bought him like his own, cooking knife, a chef's knife, and how to you gotta make sure you make sure it stays sharp and polished so it can last a long time, because this is kind of like it's kind of like a whole warriors kind of thing where he's passing down a sword that was passed down from great grandfather to father to son kind of scenario here. It's very symbolic in that mindset, and it's like something that every father wants to do to his son, especially the firstborn. Just have like the kind of passing of the mantle, or you teaching him like all of his passing down his wisdom and everything like that. And he ends up learning something from his son. His son is a master of social media. As they're passing through, he's geotagging. I don't even know that he's still doing that. I'm pretty sure. I'm not that tech savvy. I'm pretty sure you can still geotag. But they're geotagging their trips. And he constantly you don't even know if he's, texting his mom. It's like, well, we'll talk to your mom. Oh, he texts her. She says okay. It's like, you didn't even see him move his fingers. It's that good. But he's so quick with social media that when they show up at a new spot, they already got lines of people around the block, and they just making bankroll. So man, it's just a fun movie to just sit down and watch with the family. And just also just hanging out with the boys. This is usually what just a guy's kind of trip too. It's I wouldn't recommend it, but he's sitting there putting in lieu of baby powder, they put in not yeast, something kind of powder that was meant for the kitchen. They put in their crotch because it's sweating and it's hot in that truck. But even gave him a sip of beer. It's kind of sometimes it's it's not a big deal as long as the parent's there and it's not excessive, but it's okay, you can have a sip. And of course the kid doesn't like it. It's okay, yeah, just remember that if next time somebody try to offer you a beer, you remember that. It's kind of it's a good teachable moment, but also a bonding moment. It's kind of I'm a supervisor, I will dictate this. Cause it's not legal and it's not right, but it's kind of a little secret or a little naughty thing that is I it's kind of you remember Bob's Burgers, another truck, but he had an episode with a food truck, but it's kind of a thing. If you know Bob's Burgers, he ends up teaching his young girl Tina how to drive. Didn't go so well, but it's kind of one of those bonding moments with your kids where it's like you're doing something you know not legally supposed to, but it's like a safe area where it's not like likely to get in trouble. And he's still supervising and making sure it's all safe. That's what a parent's supposed to do. But the summer's over, but he tells his son that, look, after school, after you're done with your homework, and you make sure you keep your grades up, you can work on the food truck with me and on the weekends. Because he just had like a great time with his father. But then, once I get back to LA, lo and behold, the food critic Ramsay tries one of his food truck foods and decides to walk up and have a talk with Casper. And these two had like a bit of a heart-to-heart. And it's kind of like more so like a misunderstanding, because the only reason he wrote that Scandal review is because he knows that Casper cooks better than this, and he doesn't know why. Like, he had to be honest with what he was given. But Casper was like, it was my choice. I had to stick with that menu. I didn't want to cook for that menu. And he's like, well, I did not know that. So this is a big misunderstanding that resulted in that kerfuffle. And he did feel bad about like how they made Casper feel. But he decides like, I love this food. This is what I was expecting to have back then. So what I want to do is bankroll this operation and get you a spot in a restaurant so you can cook how you want to cook, and all this other stuff. 6 months later, the food truck was called El Jefe. Now it's turned into a full-blown Cuban cuisine type of restaurant. And I'm not sure if him and Inez got remarried or something. I'm not sure. Everybody's dressed in white, and it's kind of like a private event, and it's kind of like, I guess left in interpretation that these two kind of like remarried and got back together because people's dressing all white. I'm not sure. But he got not only got to be able to reacquired his passion for cooking, but also cooking the way he wants to cook without any red tape. He also got his own restaurant so he can dictate how things go in this restaurant without somebody hovering. And that was like the movie Chef. It's a very well done film. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Great time revisiting this. Highly recommend. Especially if you love cooking food. Cooking food. Of course, you probably love cooking food, but like cooking type of films. This is like one of the biggest ones that's like, okay, it's like top notch of movies about food. This was a great one. Highly recommend. And next week is going to be a double feature. And then before we get into the final week, was going to be like a triple feature. Before we get into the holidays with some films. But in any case, I'll see you guys in a little bit. I'm going to hop back into playing some more Borderlands and some more and playing more Daredevil on Marvel Rivals, because next week, man, I cannot wait. It's Gambit is coming to Marvel Rivals. God, I'm gonna play the hell out of him. God, I love Gambit. So freaking cool. If it wasn't for Wolverine, Gambit probably would have been the coolest X-Men of all time. But anyway, I will see you guys soon. Take care. Peace.